welcome to another OCD Recovery Instagram Live. I wanted to talk very briefly about Harm OCD and what happens in so many situations and why people stay stuck. So with Harm OCD, what tends to keep people stuck in the cycle is we have this belief that if I've done harm or if I could do harm, then I should feel chronically guilty and chronically anxious forever. That is the cycle that then feels like a hot knife cutting through butter. It overrides everything. So when I used to do a lot of, I used to go to yoga, I used to go to massage, I used to meditate, used to cut through like a hot knife through butter, because my brain would go, okay, try and relax, and then it'd say, you don't deserve to relax. Okay, just try and be at peace. Don't worry, just leave it there. It would like, you don't deserve to be at peace. You don't deserve a second's rest. You can't ever be let off the hook. That sort of cycle that's happening there, that responsibility, that chronic guilt, that is what we need to tackle. That's where the unconditional self-acceptance is so key, that you learn from the first book, How to Stubbornly Refuse to Make Yourself Miserable, and specifically in the second book, The Myth of Self-Esteem, specifically chapter 4, Psychotherapy and the Value of a Human, seeing that humans aren't good or bad humans, that acts don't equal our whole value. And that's vital, because otherwise what we're doing is we're going with conditional self-acceptance. If I did this, if I did that, that makes me good, that makes me bad. And that cycle is what keeps us stuck. If we had a son or daughter that committed a serious crime, we would still love them because love is unconditional. But because of responsibility OCD getting in there and hijacking, what it does is with ourselves, it's like, no, you're written off, you're finished. So we are learning to accept, like with a loved one, to love ourselves, to accept ourselves, whatever OCD throws out. That's why the book is called How to Stubbornly Refuse to Make Yourself Miserable About Anything. And it means anything. There's nothing that can detract from it once you start to see it in theory. And that's crucial for OCD, because OCD is it's like a homing missile searching for the thing, like, oh, if only that hadn't happened. Oh, if only you hadn't done that, then you'd be fine. Now you're written off, you know? Yeah, that's a good point there from Artimad saying, yeah, if there's only one other thing, then I'd be fine. But there will always be something else. Absolutely, there will always be, because we've got the conditional self-acceptance in relation to harm, where we're thinking, oh my God, what about this? Oh my God, what do I think about that? And we don't need to nail down acceptance, like bolted down, like completely understood from all areas. But we need to have a better understanding, so we have more compassion. We can better at accepting and understanding another person than ourselves. Because when it's ourself, we're like, no, I can't accept myself. That I knew with 100% clarity what I did. So how could I ever be accepted? How could I ever be forgiven? And it's like, because that's what we're doing. We're like zooming in on like everything we're doing. And like, if I make that mistake, I'm wrong. I know I made that mistake. I'm wrong. I'm ruined. And that is what keeps us stuck. Whereas instead, if we came from the compassion angle, like with our son or daughter, if they did it, you're not like, you're wrong, you're ruined, you're terrible. There's the compassion, there's the acceptance, because it's removed, because we're not in that cycle. Do you see what I mean? So I think that's really important, because otherwise what tends to happen is, I think that's really important, is very important. Otherwise, we often hear the message of thoughts are thoughts, leave sensations there, don't try and work them out. And the problem with that is with Harm OCD, it just keeps raising the roof. It just keeps, no, I need attention. You try and relax. No, this needs to be listened to. You try and rest. No, this needs focusing on. So all of those things are key points there in relation to Harm OCD. If you haven't watched any of our videos before, there's loads of them on this YouTube channel, because this Instagram Live is going on to YouTube, on our OCD Recovery YouTube channel. If you like this video, please smash up the like button, because obviously that gets us noticed and helps us raise awareness for OCD and gets these videos noticed in the search algorithm on YouTube. So please, if you do like it, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. So with Harm OCD, what you're looking at is, why should I be written off? Why should I have no compassion, and just be given this life of chronic guilt and chronic anxiety. Because that's what's going on. That's what's happening. We are saying to ourselves internally, if you've done X, Y, Z, you don't deserve to even rest for 1 second. You don't deserve to breathe for 1 second. And that is turning up the heat tenfold. Okay? So it's seeing little by little, hey, hold on, even if I have made that mistake, I'm still a human being. I'm still fallible. I can still be accepted and so on. I can still be at peace with me. Of course, that is what can be the angle. Of course, that's how my life can be. Instead of speaking to ourselves like a drill sergeant, like some kind of evil villain in a cartoon, sort of like, no, you've done that wrong, you don't deserve to ever breathe, you don't deserve to ever be happy. That's how OCD feels and how we speak to ourselves. It's not just OCD, we speak to ourselves in that voice because we tend to have this rigid black and white thinking with our beliefs. So what we're doing is we're like saying to ourselves, no, if you've done that, you don't deserve a second's rest. If you've done that, you're stupid. You shouldn't have made that mistake. You should know better. You shouldn't have thought that. So it's us doing that. That's not just the OCD. We are getting involved in all of that, okay? So we need to learn to be more compassionate with ourselves as well as step by step working through this acceptance journey. Now, for those of you who are new and just starting out on this journey, you can look at our reading list, which is on our website, ocdrecovery.com. And the first book and the second book, which I really recommend for learning the tools towards acceptance, is Albert Ellis's, who's the founder of REBT and became part of the formation into CBT. Albert Ellis's book, How to Stubbornly Refuse to Make Yourself Miserable About Anything, I Mean Anything. That's the first one. And the second book I would read would be The Myth of Self-Esteem by Albert Ellis, specifically Chapter 4, Psychotherapy and the Value of a Human. I would also recommend going on YouTube and watching Albert Ellis's video on guilt and shame, which is a 3-part video, which was very helpful for me in getting a good understanding of why not to write myself off. And he uses examples of, even in the cases of people who've committed very serious crimes, of why unconditional self-acceptance, of course, still applies because unconditional, and how it applies. And he breaks that down in sections. Now, today's video here on the channel, I wanted to just be a short video covering some of those key points in relation to Harm OCD that are often so commonly often missed and are the core sort of driving factor in the Harm OCD cycle, as well as so many other OCD cycles, because OCD tends to overlap with other fears and they all sort of intertwine and feed off one another. So at the core of Harm OCD tends to be conditional self-acceptance, which is only saying to ourselves, I accept you under this condition. And so OCD zooms like a heat-seeking missile towards that condition you've placed and then doesn't allow any movement around it. So you just feel chronic guilt and chronic anxiety because of this rigid condition that you've put in place there. Guys, great to see you all on here. I'll be back on soon doing a question and answers. If you just come on to the next Instagram live and drop in the comments any questions you want to ask me in relation to OCD, I will be covering those in the next Instagram live. All right, guys, take it easy. See you later.